gaslight that brings both life and death. If it's like last night, this could be my last breath.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Hope things are going well for you. Things are going pretty well for me at the moment. If any of you don't know, I'm qualified as a yoga teacher and I've set up kind of my own business of going into schools and nurseries and teaching yoga to children, but I haven't got very much work in that yet. So I've been like essentially unemployed and not getting any money in until recently when I got signed up to a cat sitting agency. So I've been feeding cats while people are on holiday and looking after them and stuff and getting paid, and I've just got paid from that. So things are going much better for me, yay. And this is probably a bit naughty, but on the way home from work I went into Primark and I saw a great onesie for £10 and I actually had £10 in my purse from babysitting, so I didn't even need to go into my wages. So this is what I bought. This is the first ever onesie I've had. It's so cool. It's also actually like summer weather, so I might keep this open. But this will be nice in the winter anyway.
Hey guys, something I forgot to mention in the video is I have an editing channel which isn't monetized, which just means I can put something on it if it's got copyrighted music or whatever, and I accidentally uploaded an edit that was meant on that channel. I accidentally uploaded it to this channel and I basically deleted it as soon as I realised, but I still got a copyright strike. So if you have a copyright strike, it expires in 6 months and you have to wait for it to expire. And one of the things about having a copyright strike is until it expires, you can't have a custom thumbnail. So this might have had a really weird thumbnail, because as far as I know, I'm not going to be able to do a custom thumbnail for 6 months. Yay, that's not going to affect my channel at all. And it was because of a genuine mistake, so thanks YouTube.
So I know I told you guys about this video ages ago, but basically I found this video hard to write, not emotionally or anything, but it was something that happened last year and there were lots of little things that happened and I couldn't remember all of them. So physically it was hard for me to write because it was hard for me to remember things that happened. I just found it difficult to remember some things and difficult to remember things in the correct order in which they happened. But anyway, I'm going to do this video and it's as accurate as I can remember. I'm going to tell you the story of how I got gaslighted by my boss. I've got the definition here. Gaslight, verb, to manipulate someone by psychological means into doubting their own sanity. Okay, let's look at the Wikipedia. Gaslighting is a form of manipulation that seeks to sow seeds of doubt in a targeted individual or members of a group, hoping to make targets question their own memory, perception and sanity. I was in a relationship where that happened on quite a small scale, and the guy, like, he doesn't know anything about psychology, but he did know how to manipulate, which is unfortunate. So this is like your trigger warning. It's gonna involve stuff to do with that, being manipulated by someone. If you're easily triggered by that sort of thing, or if you don't want to watch it, yeah. So before I tell this story, I need to give a little bit of background. So I was working at a nursery in the suburbs a few years before, and there was a member of staff there who I will not name, but let's call her Umbridge. I was working in this nursery where you have like a 3-month probation period, which means they're just making up their mind whether they like you or not, and then they can just change their mind. It's really stupid. It happens in a lot of nurseries, and I think the reason is that someone can do good on an interview, or someone can be really good in a trial where they're like with the kids reading stories, doing loads of stuff, and then they can start there and be lazy or whatever. So you should be able to have a trial period. I'm sure it's good for some things, but if you've had someone there for 3 months and not had a problem with them, it's really weird to have a problem with them right at the last minute and get rid of them. And it can be used like that. It can be used to have someone on for a bit and then just change your mind or get rid of them or whatever, and not need a reason because, like, you're still on your trial period. You probably know where this is going. So I was at this very small, very cute little nursery around the corner from where I lived. It was really convenient. I worked there for 3 months with no problems, and then right at the end of Friday, so right at the end of the week, at the end of my trial period, like the last second of the trial period, I was taken into a room and spoken to by the manager. This is not the Umbridge person, this is someone else. And the manager was like, serious face, this is going to be more difficult for me than it is for you, but unfortunately this has to happen. And I thought, what is she saying? Because I hadn't been in trouble there. I've been corrected on some things, like, hey, we don't do things that way, actually we do things this way, but not like in trouble. I hadn't been given a warning, anything. And you can see where this is going. She just got rid of me. She said that because she was nice, she was going to let me have a week time off with pay to find another job or something, but essentially she was getting rid of me. I wasn't given any reason why, and I started really worrying and thinking about, oh, this time I put the toys out wrong, or I'm thinking of things like that and getting really paranoid. If you didn't know, I have anxiety, so I'm likely to worry about things like that anyway if I'm in an anxious situation. Like, this boss had always been a bit weird. I didn't think she was very professional, blah blah blah, but I didn't think she was going to just fire me. And afterwards I had to clear out my locker, give my keys and stuff, and I was very upset and I was crying, as you can imagine, because I thought my boyfriend would tell me off and be like, how are we going to pay bills? That's not how his voice sounded. Anyway, I was very worried about money and everything, and this other member of staff who was on the same shift as me, who we're calling Umbridge, was like hugging me going, oh, I'm so sorry, and she said, you know, manager's name, either likes you or she doesn't, and that's how it is. And I thought, that's a little bit weird. That's really weird. How can you fire someone because you don't like them? That's not legal. And yes, technically I wasn't fired and I was on my probation period and they can get rid of me for whatever reason they want. But even if it's legal, it's not okay. If I wasn't on a probation period, if it was a being fired situation, you couldn't just be like, whoops, she either likes you or she doesn't, whoopsie daisy, that's how it is here. And although she was being nice to me and she seemed to be sorry, I was a bit like, that's a weird thing to say. Why would you imply that someone got fired because the manager just doesn't like them, just has a personal thing? A bit weird. That was the first time I met Umbridge, or the first time I worked with Umbridge.
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes.
As I've told you, my memory on this is a bit vague. I'm not sure where this happens in the story of my next job. But go forward a few years, I'm working in a nursery in the city, not in the city, but like further into London. I'm in this nursery, I'm happy there, I'm working really well there. I've got a really good relationship with the children, the staff, and the parents, and we're a really good team, and people are quite impressed by how I'm doing and how creative I am and stuff like that. It was going really well. And then we got a new member of staff. You can probably know where this is going. The new member of staff was Umbridge. Now, Umbridge was not the person who gaslighted me in this story, but she is involved, and I really don't want to leave her out of the story because I'm pretty sure she's connected to the story. Umbridge was the new deputy manager. Umbridge was working there, and I said, oh, I remember you, we worked together before. Because if I ignored it, that would be rude. So, like, we both acknowledged each other and remembered each other. I'm not sure where she started in relation to the concern, so when the first concern happened, I'm not sure if she was working there or not, but, you know, bear in mind, she started working there at some point. Okay, so something happened, which I'm not going to go into because it involved a parent, but basically, I made a sort of light-hearted joke that came across wrong, and the parent made a complaint to the manager, and the manager pulled me aside into the office and spoke about it. And I got quite upset and tried to explain myself, and I did mention, I said, just so you know, I do have anxiety. Being thought of as rude is something that I'm quite scared of, and, you know, I'm really not a rude person. I was really overly defensive because I really didn't want to be seen as like a really mean, rude person, which I can sometimes come across as, I think because of my awkwardness and anxiety and because of I'm quite loud and stuff as well, I think people can think, oh, she's really rude, or she said this a certain way, and I never want to be seen that way. Well, I talked this through with the manager, and the manager was really kind, giving me tissues and stuff because I was getting a little bit upset, and she said, I have anxiety too. Now, I'm assuming that's true. After all this, I don't know if I should assume that it's true, but I'm going to assume that it's true. Unless there's proof otherwise, which I don't think there's going to be. We'll go with the fact that this person also has anxiety. And I said, oh, but you're a manager and you're doing really well and stuff. And she said, yeah, but, you know, I'm in control of it and I can get to work, put my manager's hat on and be really in control of it. Have you thought of counselling? Have you thought of medication? Blah, blah, blah. And I had been going through that. So she was like really a shoulder to cry on, but she was also like, yeah, but you come across as rude. And I was like, I didn't mean to, I'm sorry. But yeah, like, she was mostly helpful in that situation. I don't know if it was a mistake for me to say that because that opened up all the stuff that happened later, but I'm glad I did say it because it might have been the wrong thing to not say it, you know. You regret what you don't do. rather than what you do, like, talk about. And I think it was brave of me to say, so I'm not going to regret saying that. But I do think it caused some of the issues to happen. Okay, a second issue was that a parent had allegedly made a complaint about a situation that we didn't think was an issue. It wasn't like a child safety thing that we should have taken seriously, blah blah blah. It was just like an off the cuff, oh, the staff are like this. You know, I'm not going to go into detail. There was me in the room and another member of staff who's a little bit more tough talking than me, a little bit more confident than me, a little bit more argumentative. And I don't mean that, like, she was a pretty nice person, but I guess she'd been there longer, and if you've worked them longer, you know how it is, you can be a bit more argumentative, maybe. You can get away with it more. Or she had that kind of personality where she could be a bit more brash and argumentative and get away with it more, whereas I can be a bit more reserved and a bit more like, oh, I don't want to be rude. Regardless, me and this lady were in the room, and the other lady was quite like, that's ridiculous. No, there isn't an issue, and here's why there isn't an issue. She was quite straightforward with it. I was quite in the background, and I was quite like, yeah, I'm on her side. I don't think it's an issue. I don't think it's an issue because of this reason. I backed her up, but I wasn't the most brash, the most rude person. If anything, the other woman was a bit more rude. I'm not saying she should have been in trouble for that. I'm just saying that's how it was. But I really wasn't. Later in this story, I've been called into the office and told that I think we were in the office talking about something else, but I was told I was really aggressive, I was really rude, she was taken aback. I said, I really didn't think I was, I'm really sorry if I was. Now bear in mind I've been gaslighted before, a little bit in a relationship. I feel like I should have seen these warning signs, but I was in that headspace where I was being manipulated or whatever, and I was quite fragile in the situation, and I was quite like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I'm so sorry, rather than saying actually I wasn't. But if I said that, she'd say I was argumentative. You see where this is going, it wasn't a good situation. I said, how? Please explain so I can do it differently next time. How was I? She said, I walked across the room, I put my hand, I don't have a desk here, I put my hands on the desk and leaned over to her and said I wasn't, or this is the situation, and I leaned over her in an aggressive manner. I was sitting in the corner, I was standing, moving around a little bit, but like by the corner / side of the room, and she was more to the middle of the room. I didn't even lean over the desk, I wasn't near the desk. But at this point in time I started questioning things and going, did I? I should have known that I was being manipulated, but I didn't. I'm not going to beat myself up about that because I don't think it's good to be like, oh, this person was manipulated, it's their fault. You know, that's like victim blaming. I'm not going to blame myself for that, but I do feel like I should have seen it. But it was her fault. She was the one doing this. Okay, and like the third issue that happened was I was approached by the manager who had this idea to do with a child who was potty training and helping him to potty train. I'll talk about this one because it doesn't involve like something the parent said. And I'm talking about the manager anyway, so, you know, might as well talk about this. We have nappy charts to fill in when their nappy was changed to make sure that all of their nappies were changed. So we had that, and we could have easily written his information on the nappy chart, and then it would be a lot quicker for us to deal with when we're trying to watch children. It would have been a lot more straightforward, a lot less paperwork. She wanted me to fill out an entire booklet on one child, which is fair enough if you're only looking after one child, or if it's the parent and their own child or whatever, but in a situation like we were having, it wasn't possible. And I said very politely, I really don't think it's possible, I really think we could do this an easier way. And the manager really got in my face and was quite argumentative and aggressive, at which point I started being quite defensive and upset. When we spoke in the office again, I don't know how many meetings were in the office, so I'm just giving you what happened and then what was said, because I don't know how many meetings there were. But when it was discussed in the office, I was told that I was really aggressive. I was going, no, I was being really like in her face and really aggressive. She backed me into the corner and I was like, ah! And that's why I was quite defensive, but I don't think I was really rude. It's easier to look back after it's happened than when you're in the situation. So I explained to her, no, you really backed... she didn't physically back me into a corner, it wasn't that aggressive, but like she was quite in my face and I was quite defensive because of it, because I didn't deal well with that. And my response was, hey, you really had me backed into the corner, you really could have said it differently. I do have a better idea. This is my idea. And when she was sat down and listening, she was like, oh yeah, that is a good idea. But then she was like, but you could have said it in a less aggressive way, and you were so bad and so aggressive and you're rude. And she really convinced me that I was the most horrible person who'd ever worked there. And I was quite meek and mild and polite compared to other people who work there. I'm not saying everyone who worked there was rude, but there were people there who were like more rude than me. And it was kind of accepted and no one cared. You could tell there was a double standard. Looking back, I realised there was a double standard. So basically, after that discussion about the paperwork thing, she always kind of held that against me. It was always like, oh yeah, you were backed into the corner and I realised that I was wrong to start with, but you shouldn't react like that yourself. And what if it was a situation with a parent and you reacted like that? Which I get, like, if I was really rude and aggressive in my reaction and she was worried that, like, if a parent was rude to me I reacted like that, you know, or another member of staff or whatever, I can see her point, but I wasn't, the way she said I was not how I was. She very kind of, looking back, I can see it, she manipulated the situation to make it sound a lot worse than it was. And at the time, being someone who has anxiety and I'm probably more impressionable, I believed it and I thought, I'm a horrible person, my mental health dropped, I was not feeling okay. I really saw what she was saying in these 3 situations as true. I thought, I'm really rude, I'm horrible, I made a bad joke to a parent once, I should never joke with parents, obviously I had to be professional with them, which, like, you can joke with someone as long as it's not a horrible joke, which it wasn't. I was aggressive when she said this situation a parent had said. Did I really lean over the table? Did I really say this in a certain way? Which I didn't. And then the last thing was like the straw that broke the camel's back. So between those 3 things, I've now been told that when my probation period ends, like when your probation period ends, you have a meeting in the office. This probation period was 6 months. And I knew that I was going to go into the office and we were going to discuss these things. And everyone has a probationary meeting at the end of their probation period. That wasn't just for me, but because of the situation, I had factors that I had to improve that I'm going to read you in a minute. Other people I worked with didn't know that this was the case, but I kind of thought, I'm not going to be fired, it's fine. You probably know where this is going. So I thought, you know, it's fine. I'm not going to say, guys, I'm on my last legs, because I didn't think I was. I didn't think I was on my last chance or anything. I thought it was just like, hey, please improve these things. Okay, so the 3 improvements that I had to have that were required was 1, more consistent interaction with the children. I've been warned that there was a situation where, like, I was struggling with the children and my members of staff weren't helping me because of the anxiety, so I'm still being blamed for that. Sometimes I will find it hard to say, you're not helping me, please help. I can find that difficult. I feel like if I was someone's boss, I wouldn't, because I'm then, like, allowed to. I know that's not the case. You're still allowed to ask for help. But if I'm the same level as them, I feel a bit like, oh, I can't say that, I'm not meant to, and I can feel a bit scared to be like, such and such, you're not helping me, come on. At this time, to help me, this manager was watching me and would step into the room and see how I was doing and ask other members of staff and stuff. I knew this was happening, I've been told. And in this situation, rather than asking for help, I said something kind of sarcastic to the child because I was like, oh, come on. And she was around the corner and heard it. So that's why. And she brought other things in, like, oh, you told this child off once. They're small children. I'd never shout at them. I'd never do anything I shouldn't do, but, like, sometimes you need to speak firmly to them, and I was told off for that. So 1, more consistent interaction with the children. 2, more consistent interaction with staff. Yeah. And 3, better reflective practice by the end of the probation period. She wanted me to look back on something I'd done well, or something I'd done wrong, and think about how I could have done differently. So I said, would you like me to write a reflective account? I offered that. I was not told to, forced to, blah, blah, blah. I was trying to be helpful. She said, oh, you don't have to, but, like, you can if you want to. I said, yeah, I'd like to. I'd like to write an account of either something that went not so well or something where a situation was bad and I made it better. And she sounded impressed because I was using my own initiative, and I thought that would impress her anyway, so I was trying to use my initiative and show that I have initiative to do things. And there was a situation where a parent was quite nervous, dropping a child off at the nursery, and I did certain things to reassure her, made her feel better, said certain things that would make her feel okay about it and boosted her confidence a bit and showed how I would help the child. And then straight away I went on my lunch break and wrote down what I said and how she felt at the beginning. Oh, she seemed sad, blah blah blah, and how she felt at the end. And I really like put effort into this to show, look, I made a situation good, I'm a good member of staff. So yeah, I don't know if you see that as kissing ass or something, but like she said she wanted me to reflect. I reflected, I wrote it down and showed her. Okay, so we're going to talk about another Umbridge thing. So remember that Umbridge, not her real name, who worked in the previous nursery where I got fired for no reason. That lady is now working here as a deputy manager. She's had a promotion. And we had a health visitor looking around, everything had to be tidy, everything had to be good, blah blah blah. And we had a situation where the cleaner the night before would normally put cleaning stuff down the toilet and they were meant to flush it, but they didn't. They wanted it to be flushed away. And they were told, oh no, the cleaner always leaves it, the cleaner never flushes it away, blah blah blah. So the man, the health inspector, told Umbridge, as she was walking around with him, he said he'd like the members of staff, if it wasn't flushed, you know, when they came in, he'd like the members of staff to flush the toilets. So it's safer for the children because it doesn't have chemicals in it. So Umbridge reiterated this to me as I was tidying up or cleaning something. She said, can you please flush the toilets in the morning? And I said, okay. So I was told by the manager that Umbridge had asked me to flush the toilets in the morning, and I had said, quote, that is not my job. How did you get that is not my job from Kay? That's clearly a lie. And I had to say, I don't like calling people a liar or calling people out because I feel like the manager will think I'm bad or something, or that I'm a grass or whatever, but I was like, hey, I did not say that. I don't know why this person said that, but I didn't say it. I'm not saying this person's a liar. Maybe the person made a mistake, maybe someone else said it, but I did not say that, like, I promise. And the manager was a bit like, okay, you could tell she didn't believe me. So that's the first time Umbridge comes into this story in this place of work. So we're now in a situation where my probation period's coming up and I've been told I have to improve these 3 things. Better interaction with the children, I kind of showed that. Better interaction with staff, that was fine. I can't even remember why that one was there, but I think that might have been because of the toilet thing actually. I had to do that, I kind of did it. Improved interaction with the staff, whatever. And then the reflecting back on my practice, which I'd done by writing a reflective account and giving it to her and proving that I could do good things. Like, what's the point of me doing good things and say, oh, I've reflected if I can't prove it? So I wrote it down. I was about to go on holiday to Italia. I had a lovely holiday in Italy, and she said, don't worry about this while you're on holiday, but your thing's coming up and we're going to review it. And I thought, it's fine, it's in the bag. She told me not to worry, not to think about it when I'm on holiday, it will all be dealt with when I'm back. And it seemed like I'd done all the things that she told me to do. Wrong.
Wrong.
Fake news. I'll describe parents' evening. Basically, not all the parents turned up. So we all have key children, so we'll have certain parents we're meant to talk to. Some of us, our parents had all been spoken to and we should have been free to go. There was no reason for us to stay there, but we weren't allowed to go until the end because it's not fair on the others. We literally had to stand around doing nothing. And it was just ridiculous because it's like, I need to go home and have my dinner. Why am I standing around? We wanted to look like we were busy, but there wasn't anything for us to do. So we were like reading the stuff on the walls about safeguarding. We were just bored, which I was not happy with, and most of us weren't, but that's not the problem. So my friend and I went to tell the manager we were all finished. This was after we'd been waiting for ages anyway. We said, you know, we finished, can we go? The manager said, please set up the tables for breakfast tomorrow, then you're free to go. We had to set up the tables for tomorrow, for breakfast, so we did. We set up the tables, we went to get ready to leave. The manager sees me leaving and goes, where are you going? In a kind of, I'd done it in caps lock, so it was in a kind of angry way, where are you going? I said, sorry, you said to blah blah and I to set up the tables, so we did. And the manager said, you can't leave, blah blah is still talking to the parents. Someone else was still talking to the parents. So I said, oh really, sorry. Meaning, oh really, I didn't know that I couldn't leave until that person had finished talking, sorry. But she obviously took that to mean, oh really, is she still talking? So she said, caps lock again, because she said it in an angry manner, you know she's still talking to parents, you can hear her. That's obviously quite a sarcastic, like, not sarcastic, quite a salty way to talk, like, you know she's still talking to parents, you can hear her. To which I replied, oh sorry, I didn't know, I've never done this before. I've never done a parents' evening at that place of work before. I'd only been working there 6 months, yeah. I thought I could go. She'd literally told me I could go once I finished doing the tables. And then she was very rude to me, and I said, oh sorry, I didn't realise, and then she snapped at me again. Maybe because of a misunderstanding, maybe she was just in a bad mood, I don't know. I tweeted this screenshot of the conversation that I'd just typed up with, my manager claims my interaction here was rude, defensive and a reason for me to be fired. Do you agree? Poll below. 94% said no. So that was the interaction I had with her. Obviously I'm telling it from my point of view. You might not trust that and think, oh, you say you're not being rude, but I bet you were rude. But that is the truth. I was very like, oh sorry, I didn't realise, and she really had a go at me back, and that was held against me as I was the rude one. So then it was like right at the end of my probation period. Again, what a surprise. I was pulled out, I'm pretty sure it was a Friday, so end of the week. I was pulled out for a meeting with the manager and the deputy. Umbridge, what a surprise. Who I already know has lied about me, and I already know that when I worked with before, I got fired for no reason and she was a bit weird about it. I don't know if the time before, I don't know if I should read anything into that, but this time she's definitely lied to me, and I don't know what else she said to the manager. So, I was sat down with them in a public foyer area where like parents will walk through. Not sure why it couldn't have been done in the office. So, they brought up these issues. They said you had some improvements to do over a certain period of time, and I'm thinking, yeah, but I did the improvements over a certain period of time, and they were minor things anyway, and I don't know what the problem is. I didn't say that, but that's what I'm thinking. And I thought, I'd gone away on holiday to Italy, and she said, we'll sort it when you come back, but don't worry. And I felt, before I went away, I'm glad I felt good before I went away, or I would have been panicking on holiday. But I felt that everything was fine, I wouldn't get fired, blah blah blah. Yes, we were going to discuss things in my probation period that were issues, and yes, if they weren't resolved, I would be fired. But I didn't, you know, I thought everything had been resolved. So I didn't tell anyone about this situation, foolishly, because I thought everything was fine. So they brought up the situation. Bear in mind, they've already, the manager, not Umbridge, has made a situation where I've been singled out as somebody who is too rude because of her anxiety. She overreacts, she's very aggressive, she's very rude and aggressive to people, blah blah blah. Not the case, but I have a point with that, you'll see where I'm going in a sec. So this situation was brought up, how I was really rude at the parents' evening. I tried to sneak out and leave, and when I was not allowed to leave, I was rude, blah blah blah. And I'm really defending myself like, I'm sorry, but I really didn't think I was rude. And I thought, I've been put in a situation where I've been labelled as like really defensive and argumentative. If I now say, actually that's not right and here's why it's not right, I'm proving them right. There was nothing that I could say that could help the situation, because anything I would say would be seen as being argumentative, and then she'd be like, I said you were argumentative. So I was very like, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean to be rude. I'm sorry, I really tried to meet the 3 requirements. She'd already said that I'd met the first 2. She'd said in the past that I'd become more consistently good with the children and more consistently good with the staff. So the only one left over was the reflective practice, which, yes, I'd written one thing down, maybe I should have done reflective practice every week, blah blah blah, but there was no need for that. Like, no one asked me to write anything down, but I thought I'd got the reflective practice down to a T. I thought it was fine. And she said that because of the issue on parents' evening, or the situation on parents' evening, it's clear that you don't have the reflective practice and you need to have 1, 2 and 3. You failed on 3. I'm sorry, we're going to have to let you go. Bear in mind, I was really happy and secure at this point. I thought, yeah, it's down to a T. I'm going to pass my probation period. My probationary meeting will be like, well done, you've achieved those things. But no. So I hadn't even warned my workmates. I had a team I got on really well with. I hadn't warned them. I hadn't said goodbye like to the children or anything, and it was really like, oh, and yes, you failed the past thing, and you need to have passed 1, 2, 3 of the issues that we had, and I'm really not happy with the last one. I said, why? What's wrong with my reflective practice? And the only thing she could bring up was the argument that she manufactured and made happen. Like, she was the one being argumentative, I was not. That was the only thing she could bring up. And then like Umbridge, as we're calling her, was like passing me tissues and stuff and being like, I'm sorry. And making the same face she made last time, oh sorry. Which I now know she's lied about me at least once that I know of. And I'm now not feeling that it's genuine when she's like, oh, I'm just like, fuck off, I don't care. And the manager was very like, she took this self-depreciating tone. She made it about herself. Oh, I bet you hate me, she said, which is really unprofessional. And I said, I don't hate you, I just don't agree with your decision. And I said it softer than that. I was like, I don't hate you, but I just really don't like this decision. And I tried to tell her why I didn't agree and why I thought I'd done things okay. I thought I'd done things okay, but I was very soft. I wasn't direct enough. I wasn't like, I really don't agree. Because I couldn't be. I felt that I couldn't be because I'd been labelled as really argumentative. And now if I'm argumentative, that proves them right. I now know that that was deliberate and I'm like, oh, Amy, no. But I was in the situation. I couldn't look back on the situation because I was in the situation. And sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees or whatever.
Also, something I forgot to say in the video, I did mention to the manager that other people had been a lot more direct or a lot more rude than me, not to get them in trouble, just to compare, just to be like, well, I'm really not that rude compared to certain other people. And when I said that, she said, oh, it's not about them, it's nothing to do with them, this is just between you and me, this is just something about you and me, which is pretty much exactly what Umbridge said when I got fired from the previous place, that it was just something between me and the manager, and the manager just didn't like me. Coincidence? I don't know, you decide.
She said, would you like to say goodbye to the members of staff or would you like to just go? I said, I just want to go. So I went to get my stuff and then I just went quite quickly because I was feeling very embarrassed. And afterwards, and only afterwards, I thought, oh, she mentioned saying goodbye to the staff, she didn't mention saying goodbye to the children. I was really close with the children. One child in particular, I don't agree with having favourites or treating them differently, but like, we were really, like, he really loved me, and I also really loved him, and I treated them all equally, but like, there was obviously something there between me and him. Not a favouritism thing, but more like we really connected. We were really good with each other, and I didn't get to say goodbye to him. Luckily, I did go back another time and say goodbye to the children properly and just drop in. Like, there was no reason I couldn't. I dropped in, said hello to the children, said goodbye, gave him a cuddle, because I would have felt really guilty if I'd just disappeared. And it wouldn't be like, Amy's on holiday, she'll come back. It would be like, oh, Amy's gone. You know, I'd felt so guilty. I had to come back and say goodbye to them, and there was no reason I couldn't. I wasn't like breaking the law by coming back. So I did get to come back and say goodbye to the children and give them a cuddle, so I did get a little bit of closure. But that's what happened. I didn't realise at the time the extent to which I was being manipulated. Looking back, I feel like I should have realised, but it is what it is. And I'm not doing this to play it probably seems like I'm playing the victim. I'm just telling the story how it happened. And I wanted to tell this story to show you guys how bad gaslighting is as a thing, and that it can very easily happen to you and you can't see it. So if you think you're being gaslighted, speak to someone about it, speak to someone you can trust, and if counselling and stuff like that's available to you, you might need it. Seek help with it because it can be hard to get out of a situation like that. On a positive note, I am now a self-employed yoga teacher. Yes, I'm struggling with getting yoga work because schools and nurseries don't want to pay extra money, I get it. But, you know, I'm cat sitting for money, I'm babysitting for money, I'm alright, I'm kind of financially stable, and my mental health is okay at the moment, and I'm not being manipulated anymore, and I'm now working towards being my own boss, so don't worry about me. It was a bad situation to happen, but if the place was bad and had bad people running it, it's probably good in the long run that I'm not working there anymore. And actually leaving that place was kind of my ticket or whatever to follow my dreams, because although I had qualified as a yoga teacher, I was comfortable in the job I was in, and taking a big leap into being self-employed can be scary, so I was just comfortable doing that. And with my anxiety the way it is and my low confidence sometimes, it's easier to put scary things off, and then the more I put the scary thing off, the more scary it is, because I'm like, I'm out of practice. You know what I'm saying. In a long time it was probably a good thing, because then I took a leap into being my own boss, I got my company a little bit more set up, and I'm following my dreams a bit more. I'm not working for a rubbish company, and I'm not following rubbish rules and having people manipulate me. So there is your happy ending. And I hope if you are in a situation where anyone is manipulative towards you, you get help. I hope you can recognise the signs sooner than I did. If you don't recognise the signs, don't blame yourself. It's the other person's fault. You did nothing wrong.
I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it was educational to you. I hope it wasn't too boring. And I hope it wasn't too depressing. And I've got to edit this now. I talked too much. I love you guys and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye!
I'm trying to film and my mum's got home and she's like crashing around and having a loud chat. But look at my baby. Pikachu! Yes, he's called Pikachu. Sounds like Formula 1 out there, God. I thought it'd be well done you've achieved these... Fuck off. They were doing that at 1 o'clock in the morning when I was trying to sleep. Boy racers.
And in the gaslight that brings both life and death, if it's like last